Are we ready? Hold on to your seat and please give him your full attention. Moreno is about to show you his intuitive system. He designed it to calculate your probability of success. This will help you bring to your life your most significant life goals. You will be required to assess your behaviors. Oh my God, I'm scared. And it is an imperative that you're honest with yourself. Otherwise, you're fooling yourself. On this Zoom call, we are the first to witness a revolutionary 2021 invention. This unique system is called the Success Matrix Calculator. Moreno will briefly explain the matrix, the origin, and how it works. Using a link in the chat, you will download the matrix to experience it hands-on. And then another link in the chat will help you upload your results to Google Docs so that you can compare your success power to others in the group. I wonder who has the most success power in this group. All results are anonymous. Now I hand over to Moreno Perazzolo.
Thank you, Nicole, for that over-the-top, upbeat, intriguing introduction. Always the best way to start anything. That in itself was Arnie's big dose of vitamin C. Now to switch over to the attendees. Attendee, you. I'm sure you also got a good dose of confidence this morning. Thank you to Arnie. And if you need more confidence, maybe the Success Matrix will give that to you. This morning, you will see Matrix 1 and Matrix 2 are all rolled up into one session. Keanu Reeves will not feature. Moreno Perazzolo will feature. I know you can't have it all. I will share a PowerPoint, and this presentation will take about 30 minutes, and then it will be followed by your Q&A session. Now, your achievement power from 2 points of view. The one is success, and the other one is failure. But failure is too negative a word, so I'd rather use something more light, non-success. Now, there is something that I want you to do. I want you to ask yourself a deep question. Go deep. Think about it for a moment or two. How successful are you at achieving significant life goals? I've given some examples here on the right column. Achieving your DTM, becoming a medical surgeon, say, or starting and growing, running your own successful business. It's a deep question. Think about it carefully. Then I want you to take a guess of a number and write the number down. A number from 0 to 100. Of course, 0 indicates that you are complete non-success. And 100 means that you're always totally successful at any major endeavor that you undertake. You could be either, but it's unlikely. More likely something in between. And because you're a Toastmaster, I think you somewhere at the top. Keep it for later. You'll be comparing these numbers. Did you know that out of every 10 people that invest in and implement an online software program, 9 don't successfully implement that program? Many don't even bother unwrapping that product. And these are business programs ranging between $500 and $2,000. It's a significant investment, and most people just sit back, don't take action. Why? This is the fundamental question that I've been asking myself, and you should be asking yourself as well. Why do you think that these people don't put in the necessary effort to realize, to implement successfully something that they've invested in that will make their lives better? The product works. It's been tested. Many people are using it. It's working. The buyers have the necessary skills. We know that. And in addition to having the necessary skills, they get a manual, they get a list of instructions, how-to procedures, test cases, yet it falls flat. Why do you think? And this next slide is extremely significant because, are you ready for it? Personality traits take precedence over skills for achieving success in life goals. This is so important, I will emphasize it. Personality traits are more important than skills. How many personality traits or habits, that's another word that is used for personality traits, do you think people have? Unmute your mic and give me a number. Any
20.
Any others? You know, there are almost as many personality traits as people. I went to one online site, Faster to Master. They have identified 800 positive, neutral, and negative character traits. Here's a list of 12 pages where they list them all. Now, this is just their list. There are many more than this. And this is also an unrealistic list to be working with. So what do we do with this list of character traits? I've been pondering on this question for a while. And the goal here is to use the traits to calculate a success number. And to create a success number from a list of traits, we need to use a mathematical formula, a mathematical relationship between traits and success. But what is the first thing that we need to do? We need to simplify things. We know that in life, we need to keep things simple. We need to KISS. So the first thing that we do is reduce the number of traits. Reduce them down to a manageable number. 800 is way too many. How can one do that? And I was thinking about light, using light as an analogy, light and color. Light as well is an infinite spectrum of colors, ranging from violet at the one extreme to red at the other extreme. We have artists that need to use colors and color scientists that have come up with ingenious ways of manipulating colors in a fashion that makes it easy for us to use colors, for artists to use colors. For example, they identified the primary colors, red, blue, and yellow, mixed them, and they come up with secondary colors, violet, orange, and green. And then they decided to mix the primary colors with the secondary colors and identified 12 tertiary colors, all the colors they need to successfully paint, create great forms of art. Then, of course, there is the color industry. They need way more colors, and they too, they've identified many more colors, yet they group them together as well, as you can see. This was the methodology that I decided to use to reduce the number of traits to a manageable number. I did online research. I studied many online sources, 14 to be exact, identified the more common traits, associated or categorized similar traits together. And the result of that was I reduced 800 traits down to 20. You will agree with me. It's way easier working with 20 traits than 800. I divided those 20 traits into two sections. Those describing people with an internal locus of control, who was success orientated, and then those traits pertaining to people with an external locus of control. They tend to be less successful. You will see what I mean when I show you the matrices which have been developed. The one matrix which I created, I've called the success matrix. And matrix number 2, the non-success. What to do with these traits? We've identified the traits, decided that we need to create a success number. We've reduced the number of traits. The last step in this process is to discover, identify the mathematical relationship that we can use, or the mathematical model that will help us create a relationship between the traits and success, the decision matrix. Remember the last time you purchased your EV, the electric vehicle, and you had many makes to choose from? It was a very difficult decision. You had many car characteristics to consider, or the price, the color, the range, the interior decor. What you did then was you identified these car characteristics and you gave them a weight, unique weights. So in the first column, you have the characteristics of the car. The second column, you have the weights for these characteristics. And then in the third column, you identified, you ranked them for each of the different cars. For example, John will rank price or range as very high, whereas Sally, she wouldn't rank those high. She would rank color very high. And by multiplying the weights for the ranks, you get the subtotals, add the subtotals up, and you get your total. And for each car would have a total. And the car with the highest total would be the car that you would favor most. This is the principle that I used. The only difference, instead of using cars, we use people in the success matrix. And instead of using car characteristics or features, we use people personality traits or habits. We also weigh those. As you can see, each trait will have a unique weight. And then you will rank each of these personality traits. This is the success matrix that I've done. I've translated the decision matrix into the personality success matrix. This is what it looks like. In the blue column, we have the personality traits. In the peach column, you will enter a rank number. In other words, how important is that trait for you? Not important at all. 5, very important. Where the yellow arrow is pointing, that is your total, your probability of success. In the lines below it, I've categorized them. From 0 to 25, you're most unlikely to be successful. From 26 to 50, it is possible that you will be successful with one-on-one help. From 51 to 75, you will likely be successful with only guidance from a coach. And of course, 76 up, you will succeed under your own willpower. I just want to go through these traits with you. The first one is aspiration, ambition, and passion. The second, your drive, willpower, and motivation. Your willingness to learn, your curiosity. Do you read? Patience, belief, optimism, and confidence. Do you embrace challenges? Are you courageous and adventurous? Do you communicate? Connect with people? Do your networking? Do you manifest humility and integrity? Are you decisive? Do you take action and self-discipline? All these carry a unique weight. They are not the same. No two are the same. Here again is the peach column where you type your rank. There is the other matrix, the non-success matrix, which is built on the similar model. You just need to click on the yellow bar at the bottom when you download the matrix to switch over to the non-success matrix. Here, I want to go through the non-success personality traits, those who subscribe to the external locus of control. Do you have a habit of making excuses? Do you have an undefined goal? No passion? Do you have a habit of inaction, procrastination? Do you feed distraction by chasing objects, shiny objects? Do you wait for the right time by chasing silver bullets? Do you give up by not believing and not being persistent? Are you expecting results with no effort? Not asking questions because you are a know-it-all? Do you fear failure? And the last one is to expect immediate. Then where the yellow arrow is pointing, you get your non-success. Well, these are the habits that I read in the previous slide. Would have made them easier for me to read if I waited for this slide. Oh well. We're now at the point where you can download this success matrix. What Zara will do, our Toastmaster, she will copy and paste the link in the chat. It will be hyperlinked. Click on it, download the matrix, and for both the success and non-success matrices, rank personality traits and see what your total is. Once we've done that, then you will upload your totals to Google Docs so that we can see how you compare to everyone else. So Zara, can you time us for several minutes? I think it will take several minutes for people to download these spreadsheets, in the peach-colored columns, calculate the success and non-success total.
How many minutes?
Let's make it not more than 5. And also we will gauge people's reaction. See, the nice thing about these matrices is that they can be customized. For example, what was that? Somebody said something. As I was saying, what's nice about these matrices is that they can be customized. What I've done is I've listed 10 traits for each matrix. However, we can add additional personal traits. For example, one that I would like to see in the list, which is not there, is energy. Energy is very important at achieving success, at obtaining any goal. If we have no energy, we don't move. If we don't move, nothing happens. Also, the rank range is 0 to 5, 0 being non-existent, and 5 meaning that that trait is strongly developed in your character. It is better to have a range from 0 to 10. It'll be more accurate. However, I made it 0 to 5 to make it easier as an example in this session. The more traits we have, the more accurate the results. Remember that to be able to use the Excel spreadsheet, you need to enable editing. This is a protection feature for downloaded spreadsheets. So in case you weren't able to change any of the numbers, this could be a reason why. How are we doing, everyone?
I'll be honest, I did the success matrix. Don't like my numbers.
You know, what is interesting, it's interesting, Nicole, that the numbers should be opposite one another. In other words, if they're both high or they're both low, something is wrong.
Okay.
Clearly. However, if a person is very successful, that person will also at the same time have a very low number for non-success. And if a person is somewhere in between, maybe they will be just above the middle for success and just below the middle for non-success. But the numbers do range. You know, it's very important to be as honest with yourself as possible. Otherwise, you'll only be fooling yourself. However, it is difficult to be objective and rational when identifying one's personal behavior. Because we are Toastmasters, we're more likely to be successful. We are more optimistic. We are more positive than the average person, as Arnie implied as well. So our numbers for success tend to be higher than they should be, which on the one hand is good because it gives us motivation. We feel positive. We're more inclined to persevere. We're more inclined to push through the obstacles, resolve the issues that are holding us back. Perhaps on the other hand, we may be too optimistic, although personally, I don't think there's anything wrong with being too optimistic. Rather be too optimistic than pessimistic. Zara, how are we doing with time?
1 more minute.
Excellent. Then, of course, it's always very interesting to compare our results to everyone else's. What you will do soon is upload your results to Google Docs. And as Nicole said at the beginning, all results are anonymous. You know what your numbers are, and you will be able to see other numbers. You will not know who they belong to. And this way, you can compare your numbers to others. For what it's worth, it's really meaningless. It's just interesting, entertaining. What is more important is how valid is that number to you? How do you interpret that number? That's what matters most. Okay, I think we are ready to upload the numbers. See how you did compared to everyone else. What you first need to do is, of course, upload your 2 success matrix results to Google Form. What Zara will now do is copy and paste this link in the chat. It's hyperlinked. Click on it. The link will take you to this web page, which should automatically open. You enter your success number at the top. Under that is your non-success value total. And then don't forget to press your submit button. I'll leave that there for another 10 seconds or so you can digest the kind of web page that you should be seeing. Of course, if you're not successful in downloading the Excel spreadsheet for whatever reason, or you got caught up in something else, it is something that you can do later in your own time. Once you've clicked the purple button, this is the web page that should pop up. And to see the results, click the first hyperlink, which reads, see previous responses. This is what should pop up, a graphic representation of the results. Now, I'm warning you that Google has a bug. It does not always display the results in graphic form like this, in a bar chart fashion. It may just display a row, or rather a column of numbers. However, you can still see where yours fits in compared to everyone else's. Give you a couple of seconds to digest the success matrix result submission form. I'm assuming that everyone or most are done with this. Yes? No? Can We continue. All right, I take it that we will continue. Why this success matrix build? Some people ask me. It is because I discovered, as I alluded to at the beginning, that most people don't make the necessary effort, and it does require a lot of effort to successfully implement software business solutions or most other online products. I studied the reasons why and came up with those behavioral traits which supersede our personal skills at implementing solutions and achieving our goals. And now that I know what the main stumbling blocks are in implementing these online business solutions, I've come up with a system to mitigate these risks, which is quite unique. I don't see anyone else doing it. And essentially, what I've done is I'm offering a system which provides online help in the form of a sandbox. And I think those of you in programming know what a sandbox is. A sandbox is where programmers go to test their programs, subject them to stress tests without the danger of breaking anything or even injuring themselves, assuming a person can injure himself or herself. The program that I've developed is an online lead generation program, which it's designed for small business owners, because the small business owners' biggest digital marketing challenges are not enough leads and not enough time. So this has been designed to help business owners generate leads online, specifically by maximizing the results from an online platform, LinkedIn, and using online live events and marketing videos. If anybody's interested, I have created a blueprint which gives a bird's overview of all the building blocks to the lead generation system. And if you want to download the blueprint, there is a link that Zara will post in the chat as well. Click on the hyperlink and you'll be able to download the blueprint. If any of you want to get hold of me to ask me about these matrices, if you want to talk to me about the blueprint or anything else for that matter, this is my email address in a bottle. And perhaps, Zara, can you please type my email address in the chat? Will make it easier for attendees to copy and paste. This is half an hour. We've come to the end of the presentation, and this is the time for your Q&A. This is where we open up the floor to everyone. I am now going to stop screen sharing. Questions, anyone? What do you think about your question? Somebody say.
I see Mary Lee has a question.
This seems more suited to business rather than personal, or is it applicable to personal as well?
You're right. It is. The origin of this came from business, because the question asked was, why do people in business struggle, mostly fail implementing online business solutions? However, people fail at implementing online business solutions because they fail at attaining personal goals. So there is an overlap. Hope that answers your question. Good question.
Thank you.
If you'd like to, I see Nancy.
Yes, Nancy.
Hi, I thought your condensation of 800 traits down to 10 was great. I only had one question about why you put humility and integrity together. What was your reasoning behind that?
Good question. First of all, it's subjective, not objective. So that can change. It's not cast in stone. The method that I used was I looked at 14 online sources and listed all their traits in an Excel spreadsheet and compared them and grouped them together. And that's what I found by looking at these sources, that those two character traits came in together. And when I say together, the number of times that they appeared were very similar on the sources which I studied. That is the rationale.
Thank you.
Unmute myself. You can raise your hand using the reaction button, or you can put your question in the chat, please.
While you think of your question, I want to tell you about one very important trait, discipline. In my opinion, self-discipline is incredibly important. And I was surprised to see that in most of these sources which I studied, I think I found discipline only once. Why was discipline not mentioned more times? And I thought about deeply for a long time. And I then realized why. And I think the best way for me to explain this to you is to use an analogy of color. Color and eyes, personal traits and discipline. Let's take a moment to think about color and eyes. If we don't have eyes, as far as we are concerned, color doesn't exist. Color is meaningless. The color spectrum is not there. We need eyes to appreciate and understand and interpret color and use color in constructive ways. And it's the same with all those traits and discipline. I think that if we don't have discipline, strong discipline, enough discipline, then most of those other traits we will not be able to develop, because those traits don't just happen by chance. Those traits are learned, and over time we reinforce them by practicing them, by making them stronger, by applying them. And to do that, we need discipline, because if we're not disciplined to improve our behavior will not get better. It'll stay the same at best, or probably deteriorate. So we need discipline. And I think that's why discipline did not appear together with all those other traits. Any other questions? We have one.
Merrily again.
Merrily.
Does it help in defining one's goal more clearly in order to assess one's success?
Very good question. The answer is yes and no. You see, if we know the goal, the project that we want to achieve, we will know the kind of behaviors that we need to have to attain that goal. Let's take an example. Nancy gave a phenomenal speech last night about attending the Olympic Games. So here is an athlete, and an athlete needs to do things that other people, say an artist, won't do. An athlete will pay much better attention to diet and exercise compared to the artist. So you can see different people will list different traits. However, at the same time, one needs to be careful, because we must not accidentally, without knowing, identify those traits that we already know we are good at, just to boost our self-esteem, make us feel more positive, feel that we're more likely to succeed at that goal. Hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
We have a question now from Terry Deschamps.
Thank you. I guess there's two schools of thoughts for improvement. One is to work on your weaknesses. The other is to work on your strengths. In the business world, it's often improvements come through working on your weaknesses. Based on on this matrix, you've got a score for success and for non-success. Which would you recommend as a strategy to work on first, proving your weaknesses or making your strengths stronger? Your thoughts?
Thank you for that good question. My answer to that is work on strengths and weaknesses as well. But as with most things in life, we need to prioritize our list. We can't do everything all the time. And by the way, the success matrix is a snapshot in time. And more than anything else, it will satisfy one's curiosity, because one always asks of oneself or others, what is our success rate? How successful are we? How strong are we at achieving our goal? And the immediate answer is a subjective answer. And subjective answers are gut answers, which are often right. However, sometimes we also need to be more rational, more objective. And one way is to apply the success matrix. It's just like buying a car. We see many brands of cars, and most people, by the way, go with their emotion, their subjective feeling. Which car will they like? Well, I like the color of that car, and that is the car I'm going to buy. However, a more rational, more prudent approach would be to think of all the car characteristics, all the features, and base the purchase on that. Thank you for that question.
Any more questions?
Any question is a good question. What you need to do is you need to think laterally or vertically or diagonally, any way which makes your mind more creative. How do you think this matrix can help you? It may not be in achieving a goal. It may help you in achieving something else. I don't know. I created this model based on implementing online business programs. Why are so many people unsuccessful at implementing online business programming? And we know that they work, and we know that the people have the necessary skills. And the only reasons I could come up with were these personality traits.
We have a question. First of all, we have a question in the chat from Joanne, and she says, where do our background and our gut intersect?
So let me rephrase Joanne's question. Where do our gut and something
background
intersect? Our background and our gut. Now that is a deep question. Joanne makes me think deeply about that. Our background and our gut. The connection between our background and our gut is that our gut will not exist without a background. It is the background that makes us streetwise. And it is when we are streetwise that we have a gut feeling. Have you noticed that when you're streetwise, you read between the lines, things that people say go over the top of your head, things that people show go past you. But when you look deep into the situation, you somehow realize, you have the gut feeling that it is either okay or not okay, that you should pursue it or not. And sometimes we can't explain why. It just is. It's a gut feeling. And I say it's our background. All the years of living have accumulated a wealth of experience.
Oh, okay. We have time.
Somebody said something.
Sorry, that was me. Continue. I'm sorry.
Joanne, I hope that answers your question. That's my interpretation of your question, of your interesting question. Background and gut feeling. I've never thought of that connection until now. Thank you.
Okay, next we have Ray. Ray Miller, if you want to unmute, please.
Hi, Moreno. It's good to see you again. Question for you, specifically with regards to the matrix and with regards to weaknesses. If you're looking for people who would be interested in or helping to support, if I was looking for people to support me, could I use that weaknesses matrix as a way to identify people who have strengths that would complement my needs or or my focuses?
And your question is, Ray?
Could I use this matrix, or would it make sense? Would it be useful to use this matrix to use what I identify as my own weaknesses to find additional support, say assistants or helpers or things like that?
I got it. Definitely, Ray. Assuming that the matrix has been correctly built and that the traits have been correctly identified and interpreted, and that you have ranked those traits honestly in the best way you can by being objective and maybe subjective. And then, of course, that way you will identify your weaknesses and strengths, and you want to complement those weaknesses with skills or help from other people who have traits which are stronger than yours. So, for example, if you're weak on taking action, which I know you're not, you're quite the opposite, but I'm just using this as an example, then you pair up with somebody that will give you a kick in the butt and get you moving, get you to take action now and not procrastinate. And there are people like that they want to do something, but they'll wait for tomorrow, or tomorrow will be a better time. However, when somebody comes along and tells them to do it now, maybe hold their hand, then they'll take action. That was a
great. Thank you.
Another question, Moreno, from the chat. It's from Krista. She says, some people scored low in the success matrix. What is the next step? How do you follow up the matrix?
Thank you, Krista. With difficulty. I'm assuming that this person who has identified low on the personality traits wants to improve those personality traits. Well, as we know, one of the most difficult things to do in life is to change people, to change people's behavior. So one way to do it is very slowly. One needs to get to know the person very well. And if that person is you will need to get to know somebody else very well to get them to help you improve those personality traits scored low. Hope this answers your question, Krista. What do you think? Have I hit the mark?
All right. Thank you, Moreno. I have just been notified by our very efficient Zoom master that we do not, that's the end of our question and answer period. I believe, though, we will be sharing Moreno. He has already shared his email address. So you can definitely send your email questions to him. And remind me, I'm sorry, I'm asleep. I believe now it's time for, another evaluation. All right. Our Zoom master, you're welcome. Our Zoom master has placed Moreno's email back in the chat. Please make note of it. Send him any questions you have. Maybe he's willing to set you up with a coach so you can get your success numbers up.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Zara. Thanks, everyone. Contact me. Get in touch with me.
Thank you. And the evaluation link is now in the chat.
Thank you for watching this video on the Toastmasters District 96 YouTube channel. Subscribe to our channel to watch replays of our volunteer-run workshops, contests, and other events that are happening in our district. Like this video to show your appreciation for the volunteers who work hard to run these events. And remember, we are all volunteers. Thank you.